Today I want to talk about this Nedbank HR manager that was dismissed for racial slurs. So apparently she was calling black people all sorts of names. She was also black, by the way. So let me just share with you what she was calling them so that I don't misquote anything. Like quote from what was said from Daily Maverick. And I want to add my personal 2 cents worth concerning this matter from a personal angle more than from a professional angle, or maybe slightly from a professional angle as well. So here are all the things that she said to the black people. As you can see there, it says unfairly discriminating against people on racial grounds, saying black people are lazier and more incompetent than white people, saying black people do not deliver, criticizing the performance or leadership of employers' black executives, telling a colleague that they could not let this white boy beat them, and referring to black colleagues as a bunch of idiots while in conversation with them. So I'll tell you what I make of it, but not from a legal perspective, whether her dismissal was warranted or not, etc., etc. Obviously, it was warranted because it was found fair. Like even after she took it further from the CCM made a dismissal, was still found fair. But from a personal angle, or what I have observed as an 80s baby entering the corporate space and trying to move up, and the people of color that I have reported to. So for me, maybe some people have had pleasant experiences, but for me, reporting to people of color has not always been pleasant for me. Unlike maybe reporting to white people in inverted commas. So I'm gonna try to be politically correct. I'm gonna try not to be as how this HR manager was, who ended up being dismissed and the dismissal having been found fair. But for me, I found it that it has seemed like it was challenging for people of my color to lead and to manage people in a proper way, and I'll tell you what my reasonings were, or what maybe some might say I gave them excuses, but for me it was more like maybe understanding the behavior, but it was my homemade theories again. So the theory that I made is that our parents as 80s babies, they were not exposed in the corporate space in leadership positions. They might have worked in factories. They might have had maybe semi-skilled to skilled positions in the corporate space, But for example, myself, I was raised by a teacher, and my dad was in the taxi business. So there was not much from them that they could teach me regarding the corporate space. Yes, they could teach me like the basic values of hard work, dedication, etc., etc. But that when it came to tricks of the trade, being in the corporate space, especially in managerial and leadership position, I believe that there I was disadvantaged. So it was more sort of like learning as you go along, sort of like starting Okay, so I can't remember where I was before that call came in, but I was saying that I believe that we were starting at a back foot, sort of like learning as we go along. Because I found that when I reported to people of color, the response or the reaction or the management style that I got from them, it was more of an emotional one. Yes, the white gentleman, or this lady refers to them as a white boy, but the white gentlemen, yes, they would get angry. It's normal to get angry, to get frustrated, but I found that I did not get the brunt of their anger and their frustration, unlike when I reported to people of color, and I say, or I ascribe that to being maybe they were taught by their parents who were in the corporate space and who are most probably in leadership positions in that very same corporate space. Whereas, as I made an example, that I was raised by a teacher, so she was exposed to the teaching environment, to small kids in primary school, and not in the corporate space where she would have been a manager, or she was a manager where she could tell me or teach me a thing or two. I remember also when I started working, there was a lady, a white lady, and then there was me as well. So the white lady, when we started working as associates, she was always busy. Like, she was always walking around, she always had papers, she always had this irritated look in her eyes. And the owner of that consultancy was a black guy. So the black guy was very annoyed. He used to get very annoyed with me for whatever reason, I don't know. And then one day he said to me that I need to learn how to look busy. I must look at Sarah, let's call the white lady Sarah, she's always busy, she's always looking productive. And the thing is, it's not like she's got more work than me, it's just that she knows how to look busy, you know. So I've also observed that people like white people, they have mastered the skill of looking busy you know. So it could be that maybe it's something that their parents taught them, whereas our parents, maybe like my mom for example, having been a teacher, she did not have that challenge of having to look busy in order to secure a promotion for her or in order to secure clients for herself. She was comfortable, she was a teacher in a government school, same as my dad, maybe in the taxi industry, you know, that there was no one to impress by trying to look busy and carry a lot of papers and having an irritated look. He just had to do what needed to be done and get what needed to be done, you know. So but now the narrative, it can change, you know, it can change. This is not a fact, like it's my homemade theories, as I say. I also believe that that is why we have the Employment Equity Act, where we're righting the wrongs of the past, where they're advancing people that were previously disadvantaged in the marketplace, like your black women, black males, etc., 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 you know. But now we can change the narrative. So how can we change the narratives? Us now, the 80s and the 90s babies, and 70s babies also, having the opportunity, or now accessing the opportunity of being in leadership position and the things that we learn. Now we have an opportunity to actually teach our children as well. This actually was inspired this morning. Happy Women's Day, by the way. This morning when my daughter, so she's more of a gadgets person, so her friends came looking for her to ask her to go and play. So she didn't want to go and play. So I said to her, you need to go and play. You need to learn how to interact with different types of personalities at this age, because you need to know how to deal with different personalities, and that will help you one day when you enter the working world, regardless of what space you're entering. You can be entering the tech space, the artificial intelligence space. I don't know how technology is gonna advance, but it may happen that, let's say, maybe you become a software developer, and then you becoming a software developer, God decides to bless you maybe in your late 30s, in your early 40s, or even in your 20s with a business, and you start hiring people. You will need to know how to manage different types of personalities, because I've observed her as well, because you do observe your children and their personalities, and where they are strong, where they might need development in, you know. So I've noticed that as a gadgetsy person, on the rare occasion when she did go out and play, she struggled to manage the different personalities that she came across. Like one time she came back crying, saying so and so is chasing her away and saying that she can't play, you know. And then I said whatever I said, and then she went back, and then she never came back. But now me encouraging her today to actually go out and play with her friends, I said those are the skills that you will need to learn. So let's call this person maybe Jane. You will need to manage or be able to handle the types of Jane when you enter the working space one day. So that's my 2 cents worth. So it could be that this black woman as well, but I'm not making an excuse for her, this HR manager, maybe she thought she was encouraging the people that were reporting to her. Maybe it was frustrating her as well, maybe seeing black people not acting as how she thinks they should act, or how she perceives the white people are acting, which was then placing the white people at an advantage in her eyes, you know. Just like I said that when I started working in the consultancy place, the owner of the consultancy business was a black guy, so he was also using the same words, saying, look at this white person, she's looking more busier than you, she's more eligible for a promotion, whereas you are always chatting, you are always chit-chatting. So yeah, interesting topic, and yeah, do let me know your thoughts, your 2 cents worth, and what have you learned, and what are you doing to prepare the generations or your children so that they don't make the mistakes that you make, you know, so that they can run where you have had to crawl.